Let's just start by talking about a word that I heard Linda say as she was introducing me, and the word was judgment. Um, we all do it, and we do it in different ways. And I was thinking before coming on here this morning about, you meet someone and you think, I wonder if they could be my friend. And it's not a judgment of, are you a good person or a bad person? It's more of a judgment of, would we fit? Would we be a culture fit for each other? Could we be friends? And really, this conversation today is about the judgment that comes from new hires when they join an organization and what their moment of truth is about being part of the organization and their thoughts on staying. So I know Linda just gave you, Linda, the one thing you said would happen is happening. I can't scroll down. Let me share again. Let's try this again. Of course it's happening. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I was just going to give you, in addition to what Linda shared about me, I am also a certified women's business enterprise, which means I did a lot of work so that people would know that that our company is owned majority by a woman, myself. And another term for what I do is headhunter. I kind of think it's a funny term, but that is what I do. So not like most companies where someone comes to me and says, hey, can you help me find a job? My job is for companies to come to me and say, help me find the right people to fit this culture. So today we're going to talk about mastering onboarding, how to structure a welcoming onboarding plan, mastering key steps to set those new employees up for success, strategies that you can integrate into onboarding, not just for the employee, but whole team that they're going to be joining, and really how to understand what that moment of truth is. I will say that there will be times I will repeat things that I've said earlier, but that's just kind of to make the point that they're important points to understand during onboarding. So I don't know how many of you have ever gone to work for a company and started the onboarding process, and it was pretty simple. You sit down with HR, you complete some paperwork, you meet with IT, they hand you a laptop and your passwords to get signed in, and you go. It's happened to me. About 10 years ago, I went to work for a technology company, and I was going to be the leader of a team of people, but I had a chief human resources officer to report to. I didn't see her the whole first day, longer than a 2-minute stop by my office to say hi and hand me a stack of files. No formal training, no goal setting. It was quite overwhelming. And it took, a lot of strength in me to overcome that and understand what I needed to do in my next steps. And it taught me a lot because I felt like it was a horrible way to be onboarded into an organization. And it really made me think about the importance of orientation for new hires. In the first 90 days of employment, it is the most critical time for a new hire. They are going to be impacted by the opportunities that you give them to train and learn and be mentored and coached and have engaging projects to work on. Right away, they're doing what I said at the beginning. They're forming really quick judgments about the organization to see if the culture and the company are as credible as they were told they would be during the recruiting process. You made promises to them when you hired them during that recruiting process, more than just you'll make X amount of dollars or you'll have this job. You let them know that there were things that they were going to bring to the team that you wanted, and that's why you hired them. And they're watching you during that first 90 days to see if you as a leader and if the company delivers on what their expectations were when they accepted the job. Effective onboarding does remove ambiguity by providing clear expectations for new hires. As a leader, you should be making meaningful connections for them to the team and to other stakeholders in the organization. Their peers and you as a leader should be willing to provide consistent communication with them. And managers should always support early wins to build confidence quickly. There's nothing worse than coming into an organization and knowing that you've done something successful and nobody says, hey, great job. The results in doing this are that the organization is, an organization who excels during this phase is going to design that structured yet human-centered experience for your employees. And a human-centered experience means that they do feel welcome. They feel like they're part of the team. They feel like they've made the right decision in accepting that role. And when you provide clarity and support for your new hires, they're going to feel valued from the beginning, right? There's nothing worse than feeling like you don't know what your value is on a team. So it's really important to provide that support. New hires are going to become more effective in their roles quickly because they understand the expectations, processes, and the available resources to them. And if they feel all of those things, if they feel that support, if they feel that connection, they're more likely to stay long term with the organization and not leave in that first 90-day period. At this point, I want to talk a little bit about the cost of attrition. So attrition is that period where that new employee says, you know what, I've only been here 60 days and I hate this place. They're not supporting me. They're not giving me what I need, and they leave. If you don't understand the cost of attrition to an organization, I'm going to give you the ugly facts. Person in an executive role, if they leave a company, it costs the company approximately 200% of that person's first year salary. It's a huge amount of money. If it's someone in a management position, it's more around the 100% point. In individual contributors, it's around 50%. So, human resources is always looked at very closely by a CEO in a company because it's a non-revenue generating department, which means if somebody leaves in that first 60 to 90-day period, that act has cost the company a tremendous amount of money. So doing things right from the beginning is really helping the company save money in the long run. The results, clear communication and relationship building and a strong introduction to the company are really going to make those new employees feel invested in their work. They're going to be more confident. They understand their responsibilities and where to go to for support. It is so vitally important to make sure that a new hire knows if they have a question, if they need support, who can they go to? There's nothing worse than someone who really hasn't been with you that long, sitting there trying to figure something out on their own because they don't know who to ask, because they're afraid to go and ask. So you always want to make sure that they know who they can go to and that you as a company are there to support their questions and there are no wrong questions to ask. Employees who get a structured onboarding will typically achieve performance goals more quickly and more consistently. And again, as I just mentioned, lower attrition means fewer expenses related to the cost of recruiting, the cost of hiring, and the cost of training for replacements. I'm going to take a sip of water, sorry. Okay, we're going to talk about structuring a welcoming onboarding plan and some confidence building strategies. Believe it or not, onboarding does not start on your employee's first day of work. It starts long before that, right? So a successful onboarding program should really be thinking about what a company can be doing before your employee walks in the door, if it's an on-site job, if it's remote, before they ever get to connect through company Teams or emails, all of that. It starts the minute they say, yes, I accept this role. You want to make sure that your new hires feel welcomed, that they become productive quickly and build strong connections within the organization. And as a leader, it is your job to help facilitate that happening. Once they accept their offer letter, it's really not just the human resources department's responsibility to make sure that your new hire gets onboarded. You've got to get everyone involved. So before their first day, they've accepted an offer verbally. Yes, the HR team should be getting an offer letter to them within 48 hours, if not sooner, to make sure that that new potential employee has the opportunity to read the offer letter, the terms and conditions, sign it, and get it back to you. As a manager, I highly recommend that you send your new employee a welcoming email. Let them know that you're excited that they've signed that offer letter and that they're excited to be part of your team. And then you should absolutely schedule first day expectation. I'm sorry, you should create a schedule of first day expectations for your new hire so that they're not coming in scared and don't know what to expect. They should know you're going to show up and these are the steps that are going to occur on day one. And please let me know if you have any questions or need clarification. As a leader, I also say always make sure that you assign a mentor from your team, someone that's been on the team for a while, knows company culture, knows the stakeholders that they work with, that this new hire is going to need to work with, so that they can be there as a resource, as a coach and a mentor to your new hire. You want to make sure to make an announcement to your team and let them know that Brenda is about to join the team on this date. Please send her an email, make her feel welcome, let her know how excited you are that she's going to be part of your team. And there is nothing worse. It has happened to everybody at some point in a company, goes in and the manager didn't complete all of the necessary paperwork to make sure that a new hire had access to any programs or dashboards or information they'll need to do their job, or a laptop wasn't issued for this new hire. So please, as a leader, make sure that you work with your IT team. They have the right equipment, the right access to the tools that they will need to be successful on the first day, that they don't walk into a cubicle or an office and sit there for 2 or 3 hours not knowing what to do because you didn't do what they needed to be successful in their role. You want to create a positive first impression, and that starts by scheduling a welcoming meeting. You as a leader and your entire team should get together again, if it's in person on site or if it's virtually, but have a meeting to welcome your new hire to the team. Make sure that that team mentor is scheduled, and if they are on site, they can take your new hire on a building tour. If it's virtual, ask them to set up a one-on-one Teams meeting with your new hire or a Zoom meeting with your new hire to make sure that they understand things on the system that they'll need to know or who those stakeholders are. Make sure that you're setting them up for success from the start. You're going to need to give them time to work with HR to complete their paperwork and set up for benefits, and understanding the company's mission, values, and culture, because those shouldn't just be words on a website. You should know as a leader what they are and what the meaning of them is, and something that you want to continue to coach and build within your new hire. Again, repetitive, but ensure those systems, technologies, and passwords are working. Not just that they're sitting there waiting for them, but that they actually work. And make sure that they have information that you can provide them on org charts, who they'll be working with, who the key contacts are that they should need to talk with internally and externally, because there may be external vendors or customers that they're going to need to know. You want to make sure that your new team member is as prepared as they can be to have a successful career with the organization. And if you're in the office, it's nice to take a new team member to lunch. If you're all remote, set up a Zoom meeting, have everybody bring their lunch, and just take time to sit and chat with each other and give this new hire a chance to meet each team member and learn something about them. In their first week, you want to make sure that you're building connections and clarity for your new hire. So it's important that you review, as a leader, you review the role expectations and your performance goals for them. And your performance goals should be measurable. You should have short-term goals, maybe for the first 2 weeks, then 30 days, then 60 days, and 90 days. And those should be something that that new hire can look at, can go back at, and know what's coming, what the expectations are. Because look, let's face it, if there's goals that are set for them and they don't feel like they have gotten to the point of being able to achieve those goals, then they should be able to come to you and say, hey, I noticed you have this goal for me in the next 30 days, and I don't think I've had the training or the exposure to be able to achieve that goal. Is there something you as a leader can do to help me? So that's a really important part of creating those performance goals. Make sure that you have introduced them to the stakeholders and cross-functional business partners in the organization that they will need to work with. And you want to talk with them about team structure and communication preferences. This is something I did with a team that I managed about 10 years ago. I recognized not everybody spoke the same language. And what I mean by that is they didn't all communicate the same, and it was creating some frustration among team members. So we all did an exercise to examine how differently each person communicated. Some people liked very short emails. Some wanted very lengthy emails. Some didn't want emails at all. They just wanted to talk on Teams, and some wanted to talk on the phone. So it's really important for a new hire to understand the dynamics of the different members on the team, how they prefer to be communicated with, and your new hire should have the opportunity to explain the same to the rest of the team so that there can be cohesive communication that everyone feels comfortable with. Then you want to begin your role-specific training and schedule weekly manager check-ins. I say at least for the first 30 days, and then you can move to more biweekly or monthly check-ins, whatever your new hire tells you they need and feels most comfortable with. And you want to make sure that that team mentor is supportive and willing to answer questions. And probably the only way you're going to know that is to ask your new hire if they're getting the support they need. During the first 30 days, this is where you're really building the foundation of a relationship. So as a leader, you want to be focused on giving them as much training on processes, the tools they'll need, the workflows of the organization and the projects they'll be working on. HR should also have training programs. Theirs will be more compliance related, but your new hire in that first 30 days should have compliance related training as well as job specific training given to them. You want to make sure that those short-term performance objectives are available to them and that you are available to support those objectives and provide additional training that they may need during that time frame. It's really nice to include them right away in team projects and team meetings. There is always a first team meeting that you're part of, right? And you go into it and you're the new person on the block and you think, I don't think I feel comfortable saying anything, and you want to sit very quietly. But as a leader, it's great to encourage them to speak up because you hired them for a reason. They're bringing a level of expertise and a fresh set of eyes. So they may have something to contribute in those team meetings, but have the fear of saying anything because they're new. So as a leader, encourage them. Say, hey, what do you think about this discussion we're having, or what's been your experience with a project like this before, and allow them to feel a level of comfort and value by contributing to conversations. And after the first 30 days, HR should be sending a survey to gather feedback on the first 30 days of onboarding for your new hires, because again, this is a really critical part of the new hires' tenure with the company, and HR should be gauging all the way along the way if they are doing well in their onboarding and if those new hires are receiving the support they need from their manager as well. Remember, part of that is save money for the company. In the next 31 to 60 days, you want to start increasing those responsibilities for your new hires. So you want to assign projects that are going to be very meaningful to them and will give them a little sense of ownership. You want to introduce broader organizational initiatives and strategic priorities through the projects that you're assigning to them. You want to, as a leader, continue coaching and providing skill development to them. Don't just throw a project at them and think, I hired you because you're experienced, figure it out. That's really not going to create a long-term relationship with this employee. And you want to be evaluating their progress towards their goals. Talk with them about how they're doing on the new meaningful projects that you've assigned to them. Um, you want them to feel valued, but you don't want them to feel alone. You want to strengthen their relationships across departments, and you can do that by giving them more success or more meaningful projects so that they have the opportunity to work more closely cross-functionally and with other stakeholders. You really want to make them feel like they are a valuable member of the team. It's going to create long-term engagement for them. And again, HR should at this point be sending a 60-day survey to see how onboarding is continuing to go. And I think the 60-day survey from an HR perspective is probably the most critical, because at this point, you now know kind of by their answers, are they thinking about leaving? Are they feeling more comfortable? What do we need to do to help support their long-term employment with this organization? So this is a really critical time for HR to evaluate how your new hire is doing. In the last of their first 90 days of onboarding, so days 61 to 90, we're really looking to see, are they engaged? Have we done enough for them? How are they feeling about their decision to join the company? So at this point, as a leader, I always recommend a 90-day formal review of their accomplishments, challenges that they may have faced, and any development opportunities that you see for them. You want to refine their goals and expectations at this point and now set a more long-term strategy for them for the next 6 to 12 months of their employment. In that strategy, you really should be talking to them and asking them, what are your goals and expectations in working for this company? Do you have a career path that you're interested in? And if the answer is yes, you want to talk with them about things that you can do to start developing them to get them there. They may not get there in the next 6 to 12 months. It may take a little longer, but if you don't ask what they're looking for, you're never going to know. They're not going to know if you care about their long-term development. So it's not too early in the process to start having those discussions with them. And one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen companies make is by not having those discussions, maybe a year passes, maybe 2 years passes. And because they didn't have those discussions and the new hire never felt challenged or never knew if they had a chance at another path in the company or growth in their career, what do? They go start looking for another job. And then what happens? They get offered another job because they say, yeah, there just weren't any real career growth opportunities for me where I work, so I thought I'd start looking elsewhere. And oftentimes they'll go back to their manager and say, I've accepted another job offer and I'm resigning. And the manager panics because they don't want to lose them, and they start scrambling. What do we do to save this employee? Why didn't you think about it while they were there? You shouldn't be scrambling when they've got one foot out the door, right? So this is a critical point for a new hire and a new manager to talk. And as a manager, be open to soliciting feedback to improve the onboarding process. You want to humble yourself and know, was there anything I could have done better? And finally, another survey from HR to find out how the full 90-day onboarding process went. You can engage the success of onboarding because your new employee should be a productive member of the team at this point. You start to see the connection between that new hire and the rest of the team. Managers should be seeing progress in their goal achievement. And if you're not seeing it, that's something you need to be talking about with them. You should see that they are really aligned with the company culture at this point. 90 days is where they should really start feeling that comfort zone and aligned as part of the company. And HR and leadership should be gauging the success of onboarding and retention of new hires as they see a reduction in attrition. Setting your new employees up for success. It all starts with creating clear expectations. You as a leader have to define what success is going to look like in that role for your new hire. You want to, again, establish those 30, 60, 90-day goals. You want to make sure that the priorities and responsibilities are very clear to your new hire and that they know who to go to if they need an answer to a question or a decision-making authority. You want to make sure that you communicate performance expectations with your new hires often. You want to start right away setting them and communicating them all throughout that first 90-day process. You want to ensure that any projects that you assign to them are achievable. Don't give them something that is so overwhelming they won't be successful. This will just deter everything that you've been doing during this onboarding process. So make sure that they're achievable and that it's something that's going to help them feel like they are part of the team, that they're gaining momentum in their role, and that they're feeling that value and that feeling of success. You always want to be sure that you are there to coach them, but provide them with constructive feedback. They're not going to learn anything if you don't give them constructive feedback. It doesn't have to be mean, but it should be meaningful. And then remove any obstacles that may be a hindrance to their performance. Connecting their role to the bigger picture, you want to explain how their work is going to really contribute to the team and the company's goals. You want to help them understand the impact of their contributions. You want to give them very role-specific training and development opportunities. Again, be sure you encourage them not to be afraid to come to you if they have questions. And you may not always be there, but that you should have given them that mentor who could be there to answer any questions they may have. Reiterating that growth plan that aligns with career aspirations and business needs is really going to feel important to your new hire. And the biggest thing of all, transparency. I have a standard question that I ask every candidate that I'm interviewing, and that is, when you think about your next business move, what is going to be the most important part of the company's culture to you? And I would say 90% of the people I ask say it's working for a transparent leader. It is super important to the culture of employees today. 10 years ago, it was, I think culture is like, I hope they bring in lunches once a month and they have ping pong tables in the building. But it's not that today. It's transparency. So be willing to be a transparent leader, as transparent as you can be. Don't leave your new team member or the rest of your team not knowing what the future is. During the first 90 days as a leader, you should be asking your new hire, what has been helpful to you so far? What barriers are preventing you from being successful in your new role? Do you need additional training and support? Have I made your responsibilities and priorities clear? And how can I, as a leader, best support you in your success? In doing that, you are creating a very simple formula for onboarding success, and that is setting clear expectations, creating a strong relationship with your new hire, giving them ongoing feedback, and being willing to accept ongoing feedback yourself, and giving them the proper resources. By doing that, this little equation equals faster productivity and higher retention. Integrating onboarding with team dynamics is super important, right? You want to make sure that they understand what the team norms are. Again, those communication styles are super important, and who they can go to when they have a decision that needs to be made. It's a great idea to have a team meeting and maybe have the team talk and say, can you give us an example of where everybody collaborated and how you work together as a team, so that your new hire can understand those team dynamics and how they can contribute? You want to absolutely encourage collaborative opportunities for your new hire and the rest of the team. As I mentioned earlier, involve them in those team meetings and encourage them to be part of brainstorming sessions and project discussions. Ask for their expertise that they are bringing into the room and encourage them to feel valued early. You want encourage participation rather than observation whenever you can, because that's going to increase their value. When you assign projects that require interaction with multiple team members, you have done a great thing as a leader. You're allowing that new hire to contribute to the organization, to specific projects, and you're building confidence in them. And that's what they're going to need. Every new hire needs confidence building activities. You want to encourage two-way feedback. You want to be not only willing to give them information, but you want to receive their information. They're going to have observations as that new fresh set of eyes to your organization. And who knows, they may bring you a great idea that you'd never thought of. You want to create opportunities for team members to also provide constructive support to their new team member. You don't have to just have one mentor. You can have lots of coaches on the team. They've been there for a while. They've got the experience. And you want to have those regular check-ins to see how they're doing, see how they're feeling. Are they engaged? Are they happy that they're there? And if they're not, is there a way to save that relationship or is there not? Because I have seen that happen in organizations and it's better to know as early as possible. So finally, the moment of truth. What in the world is this moment of truth or the MOT, as we call it in this industry? That is the moment the light bulb went off in their head. They know whether or not they want to be part of your team and the organization. Has everything that you told them during the recruiting and hiring process, maybe not everything, but has a good majority of it occurred? Is it happening? Is it real? Do they like what they're seeing in this organization? And this typically happens between 30 and 90 days. So in that second 60-day window of a new hire's employment with you, they're really back to that judgment phase and they're thinking through all the things that they were told during the recruiting process. They're asking themselves questions. They've started asking questions on day one, but at this point, they've been there for 30 days. Now they're really thinking about these questions and wondering if this is a place they want to stay. So this is a critical time, leaders, that you want to make sure that you have done everything you can so that when they get to this critical phase, the answers are yes, not no. The answers are yes, I feel supported. I feel like I'm part of this team. I feel like they really are giving me opportunities to be a part of the team, to be a part of meaningful projects, and to grow and stay with this organization. We all know it. We spend more time awake at work than we do with our families, right? And human-centered onboarding will help employees with these typical questions that they're asking themselves. Do I feel valued and welcomed in this organization? Do I actually understand what is expected of me in this new role? Can I be successful in this new role? And some of that questioning may be, I know I'm capable, but I'm not getting the support. So they're asking themselves about it. Do I trust? Do I trust my manager and my teammates? Have you ever been part of a team where you felt like there was someone you couldn't trust? That creates a toxic environment. So they are asking about their ability to trust the people that they're working with at that moment. Does the culture align with what they were promised? And can they see themselves long-term with the company? The key moments of truth. They're the first day. It happens the first week. It's when they get their first meaningful assignment. It's their first challenge and even the first mistake they may make, and it's all happening by that 90-day mark. This is the most critical time, leaders, for new hires to be developing opinions about you, about the team, about the organization. Like I said, it starts day one. It probably doesn't really stop at 90 days, but it is the most critical time. So you really want to make sure that as a leader, you are giving your new hire everything they need to be successful in their role. Some insights for you as a leader. Make sure that you've set those clear expectations, provided the support they need, communicated with them consistently, and assigned them with meaningful projects. I know it's all repeat information, but it's important. And for your team, make sure they've made that new hire feel like they are part of the team through collaboration, through coaching and mentoring. All of this is going to have such a direct effect on a new hire's decision to stay or leave. I know we've all heard this statement before that employees leave bad managers, not bad companies, And that could be true. As a leader, it is important to do everything you can to support your new hire that they feel a part of the organization and the team. Their decision to stay or leave has a lot less to do with money and more about how they feel. Do they belong? Are they contributing? Do they feel successful? Do they feel valued? That is their moment of truth. And that occurs when they realize that the organization is either delivering on the promises you made to them during the recruiting and hiring process, or you're not. So keep in mind, it costs a company a lot of money to replace employees. It's up to you to do everything you can to provide them with the support and encouragement that they need to be successful in their roles.